Hi everyone, welcome to the Seedstars World episode of the Mada ICT Accessibility Prize 2021. My name is Francesca and I'm the Regional Manager in the Middle East and North Africa at Seedstars. Today, you should expect 4 exciting startup pitches and an announcement of who will win the Mada ICT Accessibility Prize this year in 2021. Please welcome the jury members, Dr. Dina Athani, Dr. Ashraf Othman, Nadine Zenoun, Al-Jazi El-Jabr, Mike Park, and Fadi Jatin. And many thanks to our great partners, Mada, for supporting this award.
Learning and therapy for people with special education needs is often repetitive and not engaging. It is not social. Systems are not portable and customizable, and also they're not data-driven. And this is why we have created Cosmo, which is a unique system of hardware devices, a software platform that has games and activities designed by teachers and therapists, and a data platform that allows users to track their progress. It is being used to train a large variety of skills, cognitive, communication, and motor skills as well. Cosmo is data-driven, evidence-based, and also award-winning. It is being used by people that have cerebral palsy, brain injury, autism, developmental delay, stroke, and dementia. So it is really versatile and can work in a variety of settings. And it's being used in schools, care homes, families, hospitals, and therapy centers in 20 countries. What makes Cosmo unique is not just our technology, but is how we approach working together with teachers and therapists to create something that is really useful for them, but also how we collaborate with other companies to create the new types of products and services that people with special education needs deserve. Thank you.
Do you have any patent or trademark registered for your product?
No, we try to start with a patent. Frankly, it cost a lot of money to do it, and it was going to be, even if you get a patent, it's not necessarily that you have it. People can doubt its potential, and then you can even lose it. So we thought we will not go this way. In terms of protection for our system, there is a lot of knowledge that we have put into designing this, from materials to mechanical design, especially the sensor we use, because it's the only system online, as far as I know, out there that's dynamic. So it meant not only a lot of hardware design and material design, but a lot of work on firmware and electronics, how the inside computer can handle these types of data and communication. And this, together with our content, create a type of intellectual property that we are protecting, but that's the IP protection. In terms of patent, no.
The question is, are you going to be, creating or modifying this product so that blind kids could maybe enjoy it? Is there a way to incorporate sound into these devices where kids, with visual impairments can somehow participate? Can there be an application that interfaces with, especially for kids who are blind, possibly even deaf? Maybe the deaf kids can also participate in this current product as well?
So 2 things from the blindness or visually impairment parts. The Royal Dutch Institute for Blind People are using Cosmo now they're one of our first customers for, 3 years now or so. And they're using it very frequently. They have actually got a few sets for different classes. And I had an interview. Again, this is really because we try to speak with our customers and understand them. I had a call with them not 10 days ago or so, and I was so surprised by how they would find ways to use Cosmos. So very shortly, what they're doing is, because the devices and the activities have sound, if you remember, for example, there was the memory activity in what I showed you, or we have other activities that are similar, like make all the buttons the same or make them all different. And each button produces a different sound. So she was able to mix and match, not based on the color, but based on the sound of the devices. And they got to us and said, but she knows now the sounds very well. Can you make adaptations? So we're creating a new type of sound to help to make it more exciting for this particular user. But it's being used by people with sight impairments based on the sound, and it's being used by people. I do not know so much about people that are completely deaf, but people with complex needs in schools that we visit also have hearing impairments. But in many of the activities, it doesn't really matter because the visual is there and it's already quite engaging. So you can play just with the colors a lot of games. How we plan to develop it in the future, I think what is really important for us is to learn and work with other companies to provide new things. I don't think it's a space for one company to dominate everything. There is a lot of knowledge from others, and I want really to bring what we do together with what they do and create new types of ideas and services.
You have a small team. You didn't tell us about your team. So
the team is, we're just 5 people in the business, 4.5. It's myself and one more person that we're working on the business development part. She's working with some clients, especially larger schools and some resellers, and I work mostly with the community and direct users and doing research and development. And then we have a hardware developer, a software developer, and someone that does the electronics.
nice.
Hi to everybody, my name is Lorenzo Di Ciaccio, CEO and co-founder of Perius, an app that allows deaf people to make phone calls. The idea was born 7 years ago when a friend of mine had a car accident and he wasn't able to call a tow truck or an ambulance because he's deaf, like 70 million people in the world. For this reason, we decided to use technology as text-to-speech and voice recognition to transform a chat in a phone call. So the user type a message and in real time, a phone call will start. And a voice will read the message, and of course, all the sentence pronouns are converted to text. In this way, we enable a real-time communication to have deaf people talk with hospitals, emergency service, or just their friends, or book a table at a restaurant. From the day we started, we enabled 35,000 users in 14 countries. We add more language, we go by country to get the sustainable deaf community. And our mission is to involve the companies that are our customer, paying a yearly fee to get listed in our accessible service list and get a free phone call from the deaf community. And thanks for listening. These are a few stories of our users that are supporting with the messages and sharing the story on our website.
So at this stage, PDS is more important in case of emergency more than other daily use.
Yeah, it's not a daily use, but it's a mainly weekly use or more for important things. Like emergency is something you won't have on your phone. Maybe you don't use it in a month. I hope you don't need to use that.
Yeah, from what I understand from the that you are using GSM technology, that means that when the call is start, that means that the other side they no need to have the internet to receive the text, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's correct. So the last mile is this part is just we use VoIP, so it's our infrastructure in place in the call, but there is no internet required on the other side, on on the right side. There is no internet required.
The first question is, how would you extend this project? So I don't see, for example, Arabic language available so far. Secondly, what are other applications? You said education is one. Do you think of other application where such basically an operation is really important or vital for?
So regarding the Arabic languages, we last year we've been selected in Riyadh for the Global Entrepreneurship Challenge. We were one of the 100 country, and we of course exploit the presence in Riyadh to get contacts, and especially with AT Salad for local telcos. We are looking for a kind of partner there. We select the country on base of two major things. One, the access to technology, the uniqueness of languages, and so the population, because we measure the biggest impact that we can have. That's the reason why we are aiming at China, and now we are trying to deal with India, but in India there are so many different languages and the accents may vary too much. We also have some pilot in Arabic, with Arabic language, but the biggest barrier at the moment is the access to the B2B network. So we don't have a local partner that can be proposing us maybe for government, because from what I have understood, especially like in Riyadh, all the things for disabled are provided by government. So having access to the government, so having the government pay for it is very complicated for a foreign company. So we need to evaluate those aspects. It's more business related. It's not limited to technology, because we have our engine works with Arabic language. Of course, we need to differentiate the different accents. As we have done for English, we have 5 different engine for English, for the American, Australian, and we have also like a broken English for the non-native speaker. We're trying to develop this one. And British and American are, of course, very different acoustically speaking. Back to the second question. Other revenue stream I can call is, now we figure out that education is the one that can have the biggest impact on the deaf life, because give some number, in Italy only 3% of the deaf get a degree against the 30% of the average, and those number doesn't change in other countries. This doesn't mean the deaf people cannot study, but it means that education system is not designed for them. So giving the caption to them is probably the biggest challenge for us, and giving proper access to education. We can still use the system not only for deaf students. For example, we have a lot of attention, different kind of disability, like attention disorder, because it has been proven that having caption can raise the level of attention to the topic. Also can be beneficial for foreign students, because they are kind of deaf, respect to maybe foreign languages. And definitely once we have a caption, you can use a lot of advanced feature like content indexing. Imagine having so the thumbnail of YouTube, but instead of having image of a professor speaking that would be all the same, you have a tag cloud of all the words of the topic. So you can choose which part of the lesson you want to repeat. And this is something that we are under researching with our team. We are working to find the solution, because at the beginning we started bringing accessibility with technology, but now we can also bring innovation, because this technology designed for deaf people may be beneficial in any other situation. And I think the most promising field is the one for conferencing, training, and education.
Hi, I'm Sanskriti Davle. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Thinkable Labs. We make education more inclusive for the visually impaired by focusing on early literacy and numeracy through technology. The main problem that we're trying to solve is low Braille literacy around the world. Braille literacy is strongly correlated to future employability and independence, and the literacy rates are very low because of outdated teaching methods and a massive shortage of teachers. So we've developed Annie. Annie is a self-learning Braille device named after Anne Sullivan, Helen Keller's teacher. It helps children learn how to read, write, and type in Braille by themselves. And it's also connected to an entire ecosystem on the cloud, which enables all stakeholders to have visibility into the child's learning. So Annie is a connected device. You can both push content and monitor the child's progress. And we have gamified lessons in a human voice that help the child connect on their learning journey. We also do it in more than 8 languages so far. And this helps the child learn in their own mother tongue. So this is a total market of more than $2 billion worldwide. We mostly have two kinds of customers. Either it's developing countries with larger numbers but lesser per capita spend, and developed countries with smaller numbers of students but much larger spends. And we have business models that cater to both of these. We have Annies in 4 countries over the world. In India, more than 30 smart classes. And we've seen all kinds of impact ranging from increased enrollment, in the schools that we're in, to helping children gain learning outcomes much faster and at a much more efficient cost than traditional methods.
According to the go-to-the-market approach and your strategic marketing roadmap, can you explain how it's done from your side?
So right now we are approaching, say, state governments like social welfare departments at the state level. I'll take the most recent case, right? So we are doing a project with government of Karnataka, which is the state where I'm situated in. So recently, we were asked for a proposal for setting up in 7 schools at a time. So the funding agency is a public sector company. So it's one of the government-owned companies, and because we've done so many successful projects within the government, sector so far, PSUs are sort of. In fact, we were in one of the recommendations for, like I said, when the planning commission sort of recommended it to other districts. That is what gets into company CSR strategy. So we pitch a project across, say, 7 schools that would come to around 70 Annies. And it is one funding agency that sort of approves all of them. And we then set up the classes, and we also give them a monitoring dashboard to see how their project is doing. So that would be the typical way we handle it in India.
I just saw in your logo that is already registered as a trademark. So Annie is already registered. And also you mentioned that there is a pending patent. Can you explain which feature are you willing to patent?
So, like I said, the Braille slate is something that only Annie has. If you notice here, this part, so this is the display part. You have 2 large Braille cells, which is what children start with, because when you start learning Braille, you don't have the tactile sensitivity needed to sort of decipher at the standard size. So you start with large size Braille to learn the dot combinations. Then you move on to standard size Braille, where you're just basically developing tactile sensitivity. Then there's the typing, there's a typing keyboard, which is standardized across all Braille devices. And this is the part that we've patented. It is the only one of its kind. It's a digital writing slate. The equivalent to this is, again, an actual plastic slate that you put a paper in, and it looks exactly like this, except it's an A4 sheet full of these, grooves and dots. So you take a stylus and you sort of press down dot combinations within the grooves from right to left, and then you remove your paper, you flip it over. And in this case, there's no paper, but whatever you do input actually comes out here. So it's like a Braille input and Braille output system for the traditional way of writing Braille. So from a user's point of view, it's exactly the same tactile feedback as well that they get.
One of my questions was, so how do you envision when it works? Because it's obviously it's not something that I would see. You would give it to a child and they would start learning automatically, or start playing around and learning Braille. So there's a degree of training or support you need to provide to the educator themselves. And how do you guys go about doing that?
So, I mean, the way it is designed is for self-learning. So apart from learning how to log in to the device, everything is really catered for the child. So, I mean, the way we've designed it is to not require any external assistance. So we typically have a one-day training setup where we set up all the children's user accounts, and in fact even record their names, so that when they log in with their password, it says hello Anirban or hello Mira or whatever. Annie will greet you with your name, and it really is a conversational experience for the child. So there's no, the way we've designed it is intentionally kept that way, because we want the child to interact independently and learn on their own. We do a training for teachers as well, where we teach them like common troubleshooting issues, and typically with login is the only issue, because that's the part that children sort of need to learn over, say, a 1 week period. Mostly we notice that some children will pick it up and sort of teach other kids, is what usually ends up happening. And in terms of boosting sort of long-term engagement, so we actually have a bunch of games on Annie as well. So within a smart class, at least in India, in the smart class model, at the beginning, we have, say, something like a hangman or a letter race or whatever that happens. So at the start of every game, Annie will actually tell you who the current high score holder is and what is your score. And it's sort of competitive things like that we've seen really boost children's engagement, because kids are kids. They don't learn because it's good for them. They learn because it's fun. And so that has been a very important part of the product design for us as well.
Hello, we are Will the World, and our purpose is to make the world accessible. The travel industry hasn't been designed for people with disabilities to travel, but we want to travel the world as anyone else. The big problem here is that accessibility information is not available online. This is why we are creating an online travel marketplace, gowilltheworld.com, to find and book accessible travel experiences with detailed information about accessibility and a user experience designed for people with accessibility needs. So far, more than 1,000 travelers has booked trips with us to 30 destinations, and our goal is to expand our inventory to allow more people to travel. There's 1 billion people in the world that has a disability, and it's a $72 billion market every year of people spending money in accessible travel. And our goal is to allow millions of people with disabilities to travel to thousands of destinations beyond what they thought possible. Thank you.
One of the things you mentioned there was about accessible mappers. So assuming the accessible mapper platform is the part where you use individuals to gain information about the accessibility of the area. Am I correct?
Yes, how we started and what we did 2019 and 2020 was 2018 and 2019. We were like going to the place ourselves, our team, to raise the information. Okay, the transition from that wasn't scalable at all to 2020 was we develop our accessibility mapping system, and we reach our community of 80,000 people, okay, saying, do you want to be a mapper? People who sign up, we train them on an online workshop on how to use the platform, the app, because we're going into the specifics. So we want to make sure that they do the work right? And we train them through a Zoom session, and then we with our team we help them like scale from the specific like places or attractions so they can go mapping. Okay.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. Special thanks for jury members and partners without whom this episode would not have been possible. And now the most important part, the winner announcements. The top 2 finalists: Tinkerbell Labs and PWDs.